Hello everyone, my name is Chris Wamalwa. I work for Nation Media Group. I'm based in the US, and today we are here in Toronto, Canada, to speak to Mr. Miguna Miguna, as everyone knows right now. He was in Kenya, but for some reasons he finds himself right now here, and one of the things that we want to do is to find out why he's here when he's really supposed to be back in Kenya. Mr. Miguna, welcome to our show. Let's go back to what happened in Kenya.
Right.
In your view, who authorized your so-called deportation?
For you to deport someone like me, I think it would come from the highest office in the land. I think right away, you know, from the top, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. It couldn't have been lower because the speed with which they did it. From Kajiado, the court ended at about 2:30. We were supposed to be in Nairobi by 3 o'clock. They took off, and instead of going to the Mlimani court, they first of all made 5 U-turns to shake off my lawyers and supporters that had come to support me from Kajiado Magistrates Court, and managed to take a different route from them. They took the Ngong Road, they went through, is it Kiserian, to the Southern Bypass. They hit Mombasa, highway instead of branching into town. And they went back to the inland container depot police station where they had kept me the day before. And when we went there, they told me that I would be there overnight so that the following day we would go to court. And I told them, the judge, the magistrate said, you take me to court before 3 o'clock. It's now after 4, and you know that they're waiting at the court.
At that time, did it strike you that they were actually in the process of deporting you?
No, and at that time, I don't think they had made a decision to deport me. I think they wanted the Canadian passport. So immediately I came out, they told me now I don't go into the room, we go into the courtyard. So between the police station and the cells, there's a courtyard where the previous day, this nice OCS had given me a chair, had given me food and newspapers, and she told me I can sit there, I can walk around there with no problem. She was really nice. So we went there, she gave me a chair, I sat down. I had 2 newspapers, I started reading them. Then they came in again, and they told me to stand up. So I stood up, and then one called himself Njoroge. He said either that I'm Senior Inspector Njoroge or Chief Inspector Njoroge, and can you give me the other passport? So I told her, I told him no. I can't give you a passport that does not belong to Kenya. So he ordered the men around there to search me by force. So they did. So they took out the Canadian passport, and they, almost like bingo, they were happy. They rushed all out, all of them, and left me there. So I sat down, and the OCS came back there and told me the food was there, and that she was going to bring the food so that I could eat and then take a shower. So I thought they just wanted a passport. It doesn't really matter. As soon as I was about to eat, I had not started eating. And you know, I had not eaten for more than 12 hours. Yeah. They were back. And they said, we must go. You must go now. So I picked up my shoes. I had worn the slippers that the lady gave me. So
at that time, what was going through your mind was they're taking you to court?
No, I didn't know where they were taking me. I didn't really care. You know, my attitude is very different from a lot of people. I have resolved in my head that it doesn't really matter. I'm not the one in control. I'm not the one in charge. They have their own agenda, and I'm not interested to know what is going on in their head. So I don't want to know. Whatever it is, I'm ready. If they want to kill me, I'm ready. If they want to take me to another dungeon, I'm ready. If they want to take me to court, I'm ready. That is my attitude. So I didn't really care where they wanted to go. So one of them told me, oh, you can take the fish. I said, no. so that I can eat and then you kill me, you're happy that you're killing me after I've eaten? I say, no, kill me now. They all entered the runway armed. They all entered with their vehicles the way that we were in Kajiado. There was no handover to immigration. There was no check-in. There was no processing. I was not asked anything. And I'll show you something, because when the man gave me my passport, this is what they had. This is what they called a deportation order. Now look at it, my friend. This thing is not signed. This is a dirty photocopy. That's what I received.
Can you zoom on this?
Yeah. Now, when I looked at it and I read it, number one, I said, this is not a deportation order, number one. Two, I'm a lawyer.
That's okay, that's fine.
Who has practiced for a long time. And I know a deportation is a process. It's not just the fact that somebody puts you onto the plane or into the plane. So number one, look at it. There was no notice. So one thing you will notice there, Chris, is that there is no notice to me in writing that they had declared me belonging to a prohibited class and therefore someone who they should deport. Two, even if they had given me a written legal notice, they have to accord me an opportunity to respond to any allegations. Three, because this is how the process works. Once you're able to respond, and you would probably be able to respond through counsel, so they would have to give me access to counsel, which they had denied me. Then you have to accord me a fair opportunity to present my case in an objective, neutral forum, a court, an adjudication process, where they would make the allegation, I would respond, and an objective arbiter, a court of law, a competent authority, would make an independent determination on the allegations and the response as to whether or not I should be deported. That's how the system should work. That was not done. Then further, they said I was not a citizen. But with me, even there, I had my kipande and my driver's license. This is my driver's license, given to me just 2 weeks before then by the same so-called government authorities, who told me to produce my ID, my kipande, which I did, and the national ID number, as you can see, is there. You see, national ID number is there. And my national ID was issued in 2012. So way after the promulgation of the Constitution. See, I had arguments that I had not reclaimed my citizenship. Even assuming I had lost it, in 2012, I was given a new ID. So at that point, they could have said, but you know you lost your citizenship.
In fact,
so
no,
to deal with that.
In fact, no, that's because this is diaspora. There's a lot of interest around the case. Simply because of that, there seems to be a contradiction in the dual citizenship clause. But to answer that question, did you, when you got the Canadian citizenship, renounce your Kenyan citizenship?
No, first of all, Chris, I will do better than that. There is no contradiction in law in our Constitution. Our Constitution says crystal clear, a Kenyan by birth, a Kenyan who acquires citizenship by birth, like me, whose ancestors were born in Kenya, whose mother and father were born in Kenya. Who was born in Kenya? I know my village, I know my village mates, I know my ancestors, I know where I was born. I grew up in Kenya, I went to school in Kenya. I just happened to be in Canada as a refugee out of political situation. Cannot lose citizenship for any reason. Cannot have their citizenship withdrawn for any reason. That's the law. It doesn't say that if you gain another country's citizenship, you can lose it. And no, so that's number one. This is important. Because you said the diaspora want to know this. This is the law. Nobody can waive, can invalidate, can cancel the citizenship of a Kenyan who was born in Kenya. That's number one. and who gained that citizenship through birth. Number two, I have never ever renounced my citizenship. I would not do it under the threat of death. I never contemplated it. And in Canada, you don't have to do it. Canada doesn't care how many citizenships you have. They don't even ask you the question. It's not important, it's irrelevant. You apply for citizenship and they give you notwithstanding anything. Because Canadians can have 1,000 citizenships and they don't care. So there is no pettiness and diversionary issues around that.
So again, educate diaspora.
Yes.
Because I've seen online people arguing that when the 2010 constitution kicked in,
yes,
those ones who already had the dual citizenship of other countries were required to apply and pay some fee. If they don't do that, then they're even held liable.
That's nonsense. Nonsense. Number one, there is no requirement that you must renounce your citizenship to take another country's citizenship unless that country prohibits. And Canada did not prohibit. So therefore you did not need to do that. Two, there is nothing in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 that says you have to reapply if you are born in Kenya to get how did the citizenship terminate? Terminating a citizenship is a process also, just like extradition, just like deportation. You don't just wake up and lose citizenship. How? How would you lose citizenship? Who invalidated? Who withdrew it? Where? With what instrument? Do you understand? Because it's not the state that does that. It's a court of law. So who took me to court to say, Miguna, from today, you cease being a citizen of Kenya? So I never renounced. It never happened. It was never terminated. And in any event, I have a PIN number. I pay my taxes to Kenya Revenue Authority, to the Republic of Kenya. And that PIN number is connected to my ID. And that ID is now connected to the passport. You see, the imagination these people have is that the passport vests citizenship in you. The ID does not. The passport does not. It is the birth. The fact that I was born in Kenya of two parents who were also born in Kenya, I automatically became a Kenyan.
And of course, when you're contesting as the governor for Nairobi, you went through the process.
I went through the process. I produced my documents. They were accepted, and I was cleared. It has never been an issue. It was not an issue when I was an advisor to the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister who is now the President. I went through the process, and I own property in Kenya. I've lived in Kenya. Nobody has ever raised this issue. And it would be ridiculous because the only citizenship you would lose is citizenship you acquired through naturalization. Even in Canada, here, and even in Kenya. If you acquire a citizenship by application, if you came as a refugee, or you came as an investor, or you are married to a citizen of that country, that citizenship can be withdrawn, or you yourself can decide to give it up.
So now, that is very important, because now we can put that to rest.
Yes.
You are not deported. You are, I don't know what you can, somebody can use, but it was political and you just exiled again, like it happened so many years ago. The question, Mr. Miguna, is this. Right now, as we speak, the Immigration Department has been authorized by the court to bring you back.
They have not been authorized, they have been ordered.
Ordered to bring you back. How do you feel about going back to Kenya? First of all, how do you feel about that? And then how do you feel about going back to Kenya at a personal level? You
see, the Constitution gives me a right, and this is enshrined in the Constitution, to go to Kenya and leave Kenya anytime I want. I don't have to ask anybody permission. I don't have to announce. I don't have to publicize. I don't have to say anything. I just pick up and go and leave anytime I want, because it is my right. So I insist on that right. I insist that I should not be getting permission from anyone to go to Kenya. And I would be happy, and I'm happy that the court said what the court said. On the other hand, I would be apprehensive of what they could do. But you see, as I told you, I've resolved that in my head. When I got involved in fighting for freedom and justice, there are three things you must resolve in your head. Number one, are you ready to die? Are you ready to go to jail? Are you ready to go to exile? And I resolved that, yes, yes, yes. So therefore, going to Kenya is not a problem, because I am ready to face the consequences that I've already listed. And these people know that. You know, many times they would come into my room armed and whatnot. I said, okay, is it today you've come to kill me? They say, no, Mr. Miguna, we are not. I say, I'm ready. If that's what brought you into my room, you know, this hole that you put me in, go ahead.
So are you ready again to go back and face the same charges that they should have taken you to court for?
Of course. But, you know, I'm lucky in a way, because they messed up so badly that the court said they can't even charge me anymore. The court has stopped them from charging me. But you know, I told them, bring them on, even 1 million charges. You will never get a conviction. There is nobody who can get a conviction against me in a proper court of law, because I know I'm so innocent. And they also know that they would have a battle they have never met before. They, unfortunately, went against a man they cannot win against, not in a proper forum.
Since you came, Mr. Miguna, we've had a lot of press interviews, a lot of support from the Canadian government. They issued a statement recently. Do you think that statement is enough, given that many people now think that there's the erosion of judicial process and democracy in Kenya is under threat?
No, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's just a beginning, and a bad beginning, because it took them too long. They should have issued a stronger, sterner statement. What we need is action by the so-called Western democracies. They must live by example. We don't want words. We want to see action against despots, against rogue states, rogue regimes, against illegitimate governments like the one in Kenya, purporting to have power over the lives of people, and who have decided to violate not just their own constitutions and the principles of democracy, but to violate court orders, to abrogate them, to be in contempt of repeated court orders issued against them. We are a country that ought to be governed by the rule of law. Anybody else who does and operates outside the rule of law is not fit to lead anybody. And right now, the Kenya government has demonstrated that they're not fit to govern Kenya. Because if you have 5 orders, 6 orders, 7 orders, that a superior court, a high court is a superior court of Kenya, issue these orders against the head of the police, the IG, the Ministry of Interior, the minister, and also the DCIO, and they just ignore it. That means that they now believe that it is the gun that gives them authority over all of us. And I told them, you know, the only thing you have is the gun. There's nothing else you have above me. Clearly, it seems as if the brain is not working.
Now, we'll talk about the future, but before I do that, let's go back to January 30th, just the hours before the swearing in of Raila Odinga. You occupied the front row seat. My question is,
I didn't occupy the front row seat. I'm the one who swore Raila in.
Very good.
So that's better than front row.
That's true.
Yes.
My question is this: where was Kalonzo Musyoka, Mudavadi, and Mr. Wetangula. Where were they?
You see, I was there to swear Raila in. I was not there to swear anybody in, anybody else. Well, I could have sworn Kalonzo Musyoka because I had his oath of office and I was ready. I had it in my hands. But he never showed up. These are cowards. These are certified cowards. I'm going to say it on TV. It's no other excuse. Unlike me, they had been all over Kenya dancing on platforms. Just a few days before, they were in Homa Bay, dancing and saying how they were going to be sworn in. Just 2 days after, they disappeared. I mean, everybody knew that they were supposed to be sworn in on the 30th. They didn't need an invitation. That was their event. It was not mine. And they vanished. So when I had said I'm going to swear Raila in, whether he likes it or not, people thought it was a joke. It wasn't a joke. Kenyans had reached a point where they said if Raila was not going to take the oath of office, they would never follow him again. They would never listen to him again. Because it was not about him. It was not about Kalonzo Musyoka. It was not about these pathetic hypocrites you call principals. It was about electoral justice. It was about democracy. It was about equity. It was about constitutionalism. So the thing is, when you ask me where were they, well, I understand they were in Wetangula's home, taking tea, maybe talking to Jubilee. Whatever they were doing is of no consequence.
Kalonzo Musyoka says he was barricaded in his home. He couldn't leave.
So how come I left? So Kalonzo Musyoka is richer than me. Kalonzo Musyoka has occupied bigger positions in government than me. Kalonzo Musyoka has bodyguards and I didn't have and I don't have. And I left and I went to the Intercon. First of all, that day, I went to NTV. And from NTV, I went to the Intercon. And at the Intercon, the flying squad came to arrest me, 10 of them. And the management came and told me, they have surrounded this place, they want to arrest you. Can you find a way of getting out of here? So I called my boys, my patriots, NRM Kenya soldiers. They came there singing, Joey, Joey, Joey. They surrounded the hotel and left with me. And Kalonzo Musyoka could not do the same. What principle is this?
So you say you're ready and you're there to swear in Raila Odinga, Apenda Spende.
And I did.
And you did. The question then is, and this is the question that I got when people realize that I'm coming to interview you, they send me this question. Does it mean that now you believe that Raila is the best leader for that country, or is it because have you now reconciled with him, or was it done just because of convenience? You
see, these people are not just contaminated intellectually, they are morally contaminated. And I say, no, the people are asking that question.
Okay.
Because that's not how democracy works. Democracy is that you have a free, fair, transparent, verifiable election where everybody has one vote. They go into that booth and they cast their vote. And whoever wins is declared president. It's not based on who is the best of anything, it's who wins in a free and fair election. Raila won. So are they saying that merely on account of the fact that we had disagreed with Raila, if he wins, I should say he did not win. I should say he should not be president, but he won. What kind of a man would I be? Because I have to abide by the rules of democracy. 2, why would I support a usurper of power? A person who subverted the constitution, the rule of law, and democratic practice by rigging an election merely because I disagreed with Raila. Our disagreement was not personal. It was principally the fact that I did not like the way Raila conducted himself when he was Prime Minister. I said that. I wrote about it. I still believe exactly in the things I wrote. I have not withdrawn my book. I have not withdrawn the allegations. Raila knows that. Raila himself has reconciled himself with that. He knows I was right and he was wrong. He has agreed. Do I need to kill him for people to understand that? Do you understand? So, I am fighting for the same things that I was fighting for when we disagreed and when we were working together. That is, leaders must lead by integrity. Leaders must lead through operating in a transparent and accountable manner. Leaders must attempt to make the society they lead better than they found them. Now, if Raila strayed, does it mean he is condemned for life? We are all human beings, we make mistakes. I make mistakes, Raila has made mistakes. The same way that in 2007, Uhuru Kenyatta was involved in crimes against humanity, against the Kalenjins, Luos, and other ODM members, and went to Hague for that. Ruto, on the other hand, was charged with crimes against humanity that were perpetrated against the PNU supporters, right? Are they not working together? If Ruto was accused of mass murder against Kikuyus, Uhuru was accused of mass murder against Luos, Kalenjins, and other people, but they are working together. Miguna, who simply disagreed, did not kill Raila. Raila did not kill me. We did not commit mass murder. So if they can work together, why should I work with Raila? That's why I say these people are morally contaminated. So
Raila again has called for elections, and really not really Raila as a person, but the movement.
Yes.
NASA has called for elections.
No, Raila has called for elections.
Raila has called for
the
elections.
The so-called principles have not called for anything.
Yeah, so do you support the call for elections next?
I will do better than Raila. Raila is too humble, is too, it's a bit too modest. He's called for elections in 6 months. I want elections tomorrow. Yeah. Why 6 months? Why do you want an illegitimate usurper of power to stay in power for 6 months? What are you waiting for? So that he can consolidate himself, arm more Mungiki, so that he can kill more civilians? No. I disagree with Raila. We want elections next month. Yeah. We want an interim government right now. Let him and Uhuru Kenyatta get out of that place so that we have men and women of integrity to occupy that office as we plan for elections. Let them approach the elections as civilians. That's what I want.
As we wind up because of time, let's talk about the future. Now you've been here for 2 days. You're still resting, of course. What does the future hold for you? Is your future here or back in Kenya?
My friend, I made a decision. I was running this office and I've been running my law firm for the last 23 years. I made a decision to do what I was doing until these interlopers, these crude, beastly 15th century Stone Age criminals decided to abduct me from my own home. I'm going to continue exactly doing what I was doing. That is, cleaning up Kenya, making sure that we have a properly governed society by the rule of law, by the principles of constitutionalism, by democratic principles, an accountable, transparent government. That's what I'm going to do. Now, as to what role I will play, it's up to Kenyans to decide. That's not my decision. My decision is to participate in that transformation process. That's all I can do. That's all I can ask for. And thankfully, God has given me a good health and a commitment, a vision, and a purpose. And I'm going not to disappoint God.
When are you planning to go back home?
As soon as I can go. I know my wife would not be happy to hear that. But some of these things, you have to make decisions of how you're going to live your life and the legacy you want to leave behind. As soon as I can go. As we speak, my lawyers filed petitions today in the High Court in seeking to invalidate the purported decision of withdrawing my citizenship. The purported what did Matiang'i think he did? That he deported me, the purported deportation, and also the purported banning of me from traveling to Kenya. I want to be able to do that in a regular way through a court of law.
As that process is still going on, as your lawyers fight back at home to get you back your passport so that you can travel, right now you are a global figure. As we speak right now, Kenyans in the US, for instance, they're organizing different demonstrations around the states to bring awareness to what's going on in Kenya.
Yes.
What part do you see yourself playing as the diaspora in creating awareness about the situation back at home?
I am very happy that the Kenyan diaspora, in fact, I'm thrilled that the Kenyan diaspora is not conflicted and has not allowed themselves to be manipulated the way our elite in Kenya have been manipulated. Since I came, I've received calls from all communities. Leaders from Kikuyu community, from Kalenjin community, Somali community, Luo community, Luya community, Kisi community, all communities of Kenya. And they've told me one thing: you are right, you are courageous, we support you. Don't go back in terms of reverse. Keep going forward. They are all supporting. So I'm saying demonstrate. Demonstrate like no other time, like we did during the one-party state. Make sure the world hears you loud and clear and consistently. But above all, support the National Resistance Movement Kenya. Donate money, donate materials, strengthen us, disseminate our information so that people understand that surrender is not an option. Giving up is not an option. Giving these people respite is not an option. Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto must be removed from power legitimately. And the people have the sovereign right to do that. People are the ones who make power, make individuals leaders and put them in power. Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were not put in power by Kenyans because Kenyans did not vote for them. We must make that message resoundingly clear. Whether they like it or not, we are marching forward and we will remove them. It might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow in terms of time, but it shall happen.
For those Kenyans who are watching you right now, all over the world, in Kenya and in the diaspora, what's your message to them?
My message to them is remain united, remain focused, remain disciplined, remain fearless and courageous. Understand that Kenya belongs to all of us and that nobody is above the law, and that this idea that God created leaders is wrong. God did not create leaders. God created all individuals the same. It is your abilities, your commitments, your resourcefulness, your ability to galvanize your energies and intellect to drive the national agenda forward that should be able to propel you to leadership position. And in a democracy, it comes through a free and fair, credible election. God did not stand somewhere and say, Uhuru Kenyatta must be president. Why him? I have just received reports that Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto are saying that it doesn't matter how many orders I obtain. I may obtain 1 million orders, but they will never allow me back to Kenya. My message to Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto is this: Kenya does not belong to you, and I will be back. Sorry.
Viewers, we've been talking to Miguna Miguna here in Toronto, Canada. And my name is Chris Wamalwa. I work for Nation Media Group. We'll be coming back from time to time to catch up with him on how things are going as he battles he's returning back home. See you again in another installment.